Welcome to Two Hypnotherapists Talking with me, Denise Mejia, in Delaware, USA.
And me, Martin Ferber, in Preston, UK.
This weekly podcast is for anyone and everyone who'd like to know more about the fascinating subject of hypnosis and the benefits it offers.
I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and psychotherapist.
I'm a retired medical doctor turned consulting hypnotist.
We are Two Hypnotherapists Talking.
So let's get on with the episode. Hi.
Hi, here we go.
Today, our guest is Les Roberts, who is, I'm really happy to, we haven't talked very often, and I'm really excited about having her chat to us because her specialty is children. But my friend Martin is feeling a bit under the weather, but say hi, Martin.
Hi.
And Les, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit to the audience and talk about how you got into hypnosis.
Right, so thanks Denise and thanks Martin for inviting me. I fell into it by default, really. I was working for the NHS in paediatrics, but under the umbrellas of OT, which is occupational therapy, physio and speech and language, so an integrated targeted service. And I became ill and had a few bereavements in our family and everything. And to cut a long story short, I lost my job. And I didn't know what to do, but I'd already done a course on NLP, and I absolutely loved the way, the NLP gets you, talking and thinking and acting. And I thought, well, stand alone, it's not going to get me, a business really, is it? So I was just on Facebook and fell upon this course. Didn't go the first time, decided it wasn't for me. And then it popped up again, and I'm a huge believer of the law of attraction. So I thought, okay, let's give it a go. So I went to the free weekend, absolutely hooked, and that was it. So,
where did you train?
I actually trained in Manchester, which is probably about 30 miles from me. So I actually trained for a school in Manchester. Well, they're not based in Manchester, they're based all over the place, but they have like satellite schools everywhere. So and then when I qualified, I'd already started to see people. And then I thought, you know what, I've got 14 years of working with children from an OT, physio and speech point of view. Why not use my skills?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just they're easy to work with
and much needed. Yeah, they are. But they also, their problems also tend to get, they'll grow out of it. It's not, they're very resilient. But they do carry it with them.
They do.
So where are you based exactly?
I'm based in St Helens, which is in between Manchester and Liverpool.
Okay.
So she's about 20 miles down the road from me.
Yes, close. Okay.
Yeah, we are very close.
I don't know. Maybe it's Sheila's influence, but there seems to be a heck of a lot of hypnotists in your area.
Really, in our area, is that the more towards we're based sort of Lancashire way, and the more on the Yorkshire side, aren't they? The other
Sheila and everybody.
Northwest.
They're over the other side of the pedal.
See, my previous southern experience, I lived in Salisbury. I was born and raised in Salisbury. So to me, it's just a swath of unknown territory. Like those old maps.
Anything north.
Dragons live beyond. Yeah. I don't even go to Birmingham.
Anything north of Watford and you get culture shock.
Yeah.
So, Les, do you primarily see children for your hypnosis work?
I'm hoping to, but not at this moment in time, because as you know, I'm private, so it's all down to the parents to see if they've got the finances to pay me. But yeah, I still see adults, and I think I will continue to see adults, but I would like the balance to shift from children up here, adults down here.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking sort of like with real interest at this work you've been doing with children over the school holidays, which is about their mental health and well-being, and you've been doing a lot of classes with that. And I was looking at some of the well-being things that you were doing because you were putting them up online, and it all really ties in with hypnosis for children, doesn't it? All the kind of things about dreams and wishes, and it's all positive future visualization in one form or another, which is it is all hypnosis, and what have you. How have you find that's gone with them?
Oh, it's fantastic. Like I said just before you press record, it's absolutely exhausting. However, it is so rewarding to watch the children come in, and they don't want to leave the parents, but we have a policy, parents do not stay because there's no room. Because we have 10 children in each class, and there's no room for parents to stay. Plus also it's a case of, I feel that they may be distracted if the parents are there. So the parents already know that they're not to stay. And doing a group of 10 children, they seem to bounce off each other all the time. And you can see them not just forging friendships, but also seeing how others react to what I talk about. But bringing in the crafting is just so that they're not just sat there twiddling their thumbs listening to me, because they'd just space out if we did that. So but the crafts, like you said, are all with the topic of like putting the worries to bed, the dream capture, so that we didn't say it was to catch negative dreams. Our purpose was to catch wonderful dreams and nice thoughts, so that it hangs up at your window and it stops all those not very nice dreams coming through and everything. So like I said, it's very tiring, but it's very, very rewarding. And I'm very fortunate that, because I'm a CIC company, which is a community interest company, I can apply for funding from anywhere, from the lottery, from any charity, but this funding was from the Department for Education and our local council.
Yeah, I noticed that, and of course that is a glowing endorsement, for the council to sponsor it.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Are these programs that you put together, you see the children sequentially, or is it one-off?
No, they can attend. Say Christmas, we held the classes for 8 days. They can attend for the 8 days. They can attend in the morning and in the afternoon, but the morning and afternoon are repeated, on that particular day. But no, they can turn up for as many sessions as they want.
And because it was funded by the council, was it free to the point of service for the kids? Great. Yeah,
it's free for the children to attend. Also, because I apply for the funding, and when I apply for the funding, I also apply for extra funding, so we can give them what we call a wellbeing box. And in that wellbeing box are all the activities for the whole of those 8 days.
Oh, that's great.
And they get to take them home. All the instructions are written out, so that if they don't attend, say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but only come Thursday, Friday, then they've got
the rest. They've still got that.
Yeah.
Have you found that any parents are so delighted with the response of their kids that they've wanted to bring them back for more personalized stuff?
I've actually got a few children to see from the back of the summer ones, and I've had a few inquiries from the Christmas one as well. But we've got one going on in Easter as well. So they run 3 times a year. They run Easter holidays, which is that March, April time?
Depends on the year.
Yeah. Summer and Christmas as well. So we run them 3 times a year. The funding is only available, I think, for the next 2 years, so I'm just going to hopefully make the most of it. However, I will tell you though, on the back of it, because I've forged these really good relationships with the people at the council, I've also been invited to do a few bits and pieces for the DART program, which is the domestic abuse, the you know, after the perpetrator has left, and how you know we can help to strengthen those relationships between the child and the parent.
Excellent.
So I've got that, and I also we did some we made some little eye masks with lavender with the ladies who completed the DART rehabilitation course. So fingers crossed it will go a little bit.
This is really brilliant and specialised stuff. Yeah, as I say, I was following it with great interest. All the different crafting classes and things they're doing, and seeing the logic behind each actual activity and where it was coming from. And I was really enjoying following it. So anyway, Denise, as you know, was a paediatrician, and she has said on more than one occasion on various podcasts when we get to talk about children, they're all hypnotized little beings till, I think you say, till about 8 or 9 years old, don't you? So I was just wondering then if we could talk a bit about actually when hypnotizing children, how you find it compared to hypnotizing an adult.
The same really, but easier, to be
but faster.
It's easier because as we get older, we forget how to use our imagination. But if you think about it, when you read a book, you get engrossed in that book, don't you? You actually are on those pages reliving, you know, because I remember reading a book and I had streams of tears running down my face at this one particular book. But as we get older, we tend not to do that as much. Whereas children do have that ability to fall in and out of self-hypnosis so much quicker than us.
Do you think as adults that's part of our inability to get in the moment as we get older? As you say, when you're a child and you're reading a book, you can be so absorbed in it. Whereas as an adult, maybe less so. And for some people, they do still get engrossed in a book.
I mean, I do. When I read books, I get engrossed in films and things like that. I really get engrossed in things. But I do think it's our lifestyle, because we're so busy. You know, we don't tend to find that time out for us and everything. It's just a quick, you know, I'll read a few chapters in my book, or I'll do this and I'll do that, or there's no time to do it. Whereas children are playing, aren't they? We don't play.
Well, but that is another aspect of children. It's not really hypnosis, but kids that tend to be overscheduled, that we're taking away, but because of the availability of educational materials on screens everywhere and programs at the Y or whatever, they tend to have less time to just go lie under a tree and look at clouds or whatever else whilst they're thinking about whatever they're thinking about. Do they come to you always through this sort of funnel of the group programs, or do they come in individually? Parents will call you and say, could you see my...
parents will call me. I'm actually doing some work with 2 children in one of our local schools, and the reason why I'm in there is because their foster parent knows me and has said to school, we need some help here. You know, so she said, and I know a very, very good therapist who will come down and help. So I've just got 6 weeks with 2 children in a school, which is fantastic.
May I ask, what is the initial presenting issue?
They're fostered, they're in long-term foster, and it's their past. Their past isn't
how is it impacting their school? Are they disruptive or withdrawn?
They're not. They're quite withdrawn, and the eldest will say, oh, there's nothing wrong with me, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm fine. But they're not. You can tell in different, you know, when like they came to the groups and they were making things, and I never say, let's make Mother's Day cards, let's make cards for your parents, because I'm aware that I do have quite a lot of looked after children coming in, and you could just tell there was just something there. I think you just have to go with your gut a lot of time when you're working with children, don't you? And they're quite happy for me to go in. I've already been in last week, and they're quite happy that as long as I don't interfere with their break time, they're quite happy for me to come in. So
Gotta get your priorities right.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued to know, Les. Okay, if an adult comes to see any of us as hypnotherapists for hypnotherapy, they have a preconceived idea of what it's about, and we've generally spoken with them beforehand to explain there's no swinging watches, this, that, and the other. It's, you know, deep relaxation, it's focus, concentration, it's whatever. What do children expect? You know, if they're coming to see, do they think a hypnotist as in, you know, what they've seen on television, or do they ask what's going to happen to me? Or
I don't, to be perfectly honest, I don't really hypnotize the children. I use sort of waking hypnosis, if you can call it that, where we just use their imaginations. But as you hit the older side, you know, the older children, like teens and everything, then I will explain to them, though, you know, that it's using your imagination to imagine that you're somewhere where we can make those changes, explain that, you know, it's done at a much deeper level. But the same as I would with adults, they're in control at all times.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing that we all, you know, get across to our clients all the time, isn't it? They are in control at all times. To me, it's the one biggest sort of misconception people have about hypnosis.
I think I'm going to try and challenge myself to say, not that you are in control, that you can be in control, because some people just cede control to others and go through life without not realizing that they have that. So what we need to tell our clients is that you can be in charge of your own life, at least till the government steps in. You can be in charge of a lot of your own
That's
life.
a whole other podcast, Denise.
Yeah. Do you do any medical hypnosis stuff? Any kids with medical issues?
I've done, when you say medical, do you mean with any illnesses?
Organic, I mean, obviously mental health is medical too.
Yeah.
But things like kids with pain.
Yes, I have. I've done actually I had the two children that I see in the school. The reason why their foster parents have recommended me is because I saw their son on his last few weeks of life. So yeah, so that was quite a while ago. That was before I actually qualified in hypnosis, and I just went to see him and use, you know, neuro-linguistic programming to help him get over his nightmares, really, and, you know, to relax a lot more. And we've remained in touch ever since, you see. So you know, that's a bonus, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's sorry to interrupt.
Sorry, go on.
I would say that's something again, though, isn't it, that we've never explored, Denise? Hypnosis for palliative care, helping people, you know, make the journey, helping ease their journey forward.
Right, and there are a few people that's what they do.
Yeah, I think I've helped children with say issues like hay fever, with pain. I had a little girl who had eczema, very severe eczema, and I helped her. I've also, like you said, the mental health side, OCDs, and tics. Yeah, but there's not been a lot of medical things. Pre-medical, you know, if a child was going in for, say, an operation or going to the dentist, then I've seen a child then, and a few post, but not really that many. That'd be something that I would be really interested in doing, but
hasn't knocked on the door yet. How long have you been in practice?
I qualified in 2016. And then that's in hypnosis. I qualified 2013, 14 in NLP. Did eye movement therapy as well. So I'm in IEMT, eye movement, EFT as well, which is, as we know, is tapping. And then it was, I got the place where I am now. I got this place in December 2019. signed a 3-year lease, and I thought, well, I better get my finger out and start, you know,
paying the rent.
yeah. And I opened 14th of January 2020, and then 8.5 weeks after COVID.
Yeah,
that happened to my office too. But I knew that I wanted the bulk of my work to be online, so that was good.
Yeah.
I do see a few people in their doctor's offices, but obviously only the local people. So do you do much online work?
I do a little bit. It's becoming more and more popular for me, for, you know, my kind of clients. I've actually got one after I've finished talking to you tonight. But most of them, I encourage them to come if they can, to see me, because my place is big enough. So I encourage them to come here.
And the pool of people you see is mostly local?
No, not really, to be perfectly honest. Yes, I'd say 50-50 really. I've got people coming from 20-30 miles away.
Yeah, you're in quite a good location there though as well, aren't you? Because you're handy for Liverpool, Warrington, Manchester. You've got a big catchment area. Yeah,
I'm right off the M62 motorway. So
do you get much support from the medical community or interest from the medical community?
No.
Are you reaching out to them?
Yes, every client who comes in to see me, whether it be an adult or a child, on my intake form, I actually have a little box that they can tick to say I can write to their GP. And once they finish their treatment, I send a letter to their GP. Nothing.
Yeah.
Well, they're fixed now. They're fixed now, so you don't need to.
Yeah, that seems pretty standard.
Nothing
actually.
At all. Yeah. I don't know whether it's because we're private that people have to pay. I don't know whether it's because the GP doesn't like to refer people because they have to say, well, you're going to have to pay. I don't know. I really don't know.
It's because you're CNHC registered, aren't you? Same as me.
Yes.
So you're on the list that the GPs can refer to. The thing is, as well, with the doctors in the UK, it's what tools they have at their disposal. This is the thing. Right. Anybody goes to the doctors feeling, you know, less than well with the mental health, what options has the doctor got? Oh, they can put you on a waiting list for counselling, 18 months, or they can give you give you a prescription there and then. And again, this is, you know, as we often say, it's that thing. The minute you've got a prescription in your hand, you know, there's the assumption that there's the placebo effect. Oh, I'm going to feel better. He's giving me a prescription. But it is sad when that is the first line of defense that they're able to use. If all they can offer you is something that you've got to wait months for, then what other choice do they have, really?
But like you said, Martin, the likes of myself and you, we're on a register from the CNHC, and they have that register, and they could say, well, listen, you know, if you want something for free, you're going to have to wait. But if you're willing to pay, there we go. You know, you can, because it has changed. It really has changed. And like you said, since COVID, and now we have these strikes for, you know, for people who work in the NHS. It's absolutely scary.
Yeah, I mean, what I find strangest of all is if you go on the NHS website, NICE recommend hypnotherapy as one of the first choices for IBS and for other things, but the NHS won't pay for it.
They do have their own hypnotherapists for IBS, but
are they in every catchment area though? So there's not the chance.
Not that I know of, but they are. I know somebody who actually went for one of the jobs, and she said she was very restricted in what methodologies, what approaches she could use. It was very much scripted. What she had to do.
Well, that is true here. There are several centers of excellence where, and you can't deviate from the script, which is silly because you're dealing with an individual patient. But it's big from a research point of view. You know, you can only change one variable at a time, so that's what they need to do.
I totally understand why, because they have to, you know, monitor it in one way or other. But it seems such a shame that there's so many people out there who are crying out for help, and they just can't get it.
Getting back to children though, do you get recommendations? Are you recommended by schools that you've worked in for?
And it's getting there. It's getting there. Yes. So a lot of schools are, because through the council, really, a lot of schools are well aware of who I am and what I do, and apparently my name is dropped in many meetings, which is fantastic. But they're on my side and they're batting my corner for me, because they know the difference in the children. Because whenever I do these classes, the parents, I give the parents feedback forms, and then they come to me, which I take a copy, the parents know, and then I give them back to the council. But there's also people who work in children's centres where they have said, oh, you know, I sent, you know, my son or my daughter to Les Roberts's classes, and you know, they're coming back, the kids are coming back year after year, which is fantastic.
That's nice. Yeah.
We're getting there.
Getting back to when you treat children individually, not away from your classes, you know, when you have them as hypnotherapy clients, do you find yourself being asked for or giving advice to the parents on other parenting skills? Because at the end of the day, you know, children are coming to you with issues. Maybe they're no confidence or something like that. Well, I don't know what issues they would come to you for. But do you find yourself teaching parenting skills?
I do. And I might sound really awful now. I have no qualms telling a parent if it's their behaviours that's, you know, making the child behave in that way. I had one lady who came to see me who called her daughter mini-me, and she just said she's just like me. You know, she's anxious, she's this, she's that, and I thought, yeah, that's because you are.
Tell her.
Yeah, if you keep telling her she is, then she will be. Yeah.
I have no qualms whatsoever. I will do that. But Tony and I run a podcast, Tony Gordon and I, and that's Parental Diaries. Yeah. And that's all about how we can help the parents, or how the parents can help themselves as far as they're concerned about the children. Because if you think about it, if we can help children to manage their emotions and impulses, and we can teach the parents how to do that, I know it makes our jobs a little bit easier. Hopefully, you know, they won't do such a fantastic job that we won't get any children to
yeah, hopefully they will.
Yeah.
But then we can go off and do just the fuzzy stuff, you know, the public speaking and
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned that podcast, Les, because we'll be putting a link to it in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, look in the comments thing, all the show notes are there. And if you're listening on one of the other podcast platforms, there are show notes there as well. We put a link to how anybody can get in contact with you at your hypnotherapy clinic, but also your podcast as well that you do with Tony Gordon.
What I'd like to do in the future, if you don't mind me telling you, is we have, where I live in St Helens, we have like deprived areas and, you know, very fortunate areas. And in one of the deprived areas, we have what's called generational unemployment. And it's unemployment where the grandparents, the parents have never held down a job, don't want to hold down a job, probably don't know what to do to get a job.
That's the same thing. That's a comfort thing. How can I go out, and then they're going to say no, and then I'm going to feel worse.
Yeah. So the children, when it comes to year, I don't know, year 9 or 10, something like that, in the senior school, they're asked by school, what would you like to do? It could be older, don't quote me on the years, but what would you like to do? Would you like to go to college? Would you like to be whatever you want to be? And some of these children haven't a clue. They've got no inspiration and nobody to look up to because of what's happened.
Yeah.
You know.
And then that opens up, I mean, because obviously St Helens is very similar to where I'm from. I'm from the northern towns as well. And this is the whole thing over here, Denise. Years ago, go back 50, 60 years, you could leave school at 16 without having achieved much in terms of formal education, but you'd have a strong work ethic, and there was lots of work there that was well paid. If you worked on the docks,
Yep.
or you worked in the factories, you took home a good wage and you could keep your family. Nowadays, if you leave school at 16 with no qualifications, the best you can hope for is working in Amazon on minimum wage on £9 an hour or something.
These children in this particular area, this is the ex-mining community from
Right.
years
Yep.
ago.
Again, same round here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And it's I've been asked by a governor of a school, but he also works in the school as well, to do a little video so that they can present it to the children. So potentially I could, hopefully just go in and have a chat with them. I'm still umming and ahhing about it, because I'd rather go and stand up on the stage in front of the kids and say, right, you know, here we go.
If you can get those kids to engage their imagination, these are children who've seen movies. They presumably, at least most of them, have been able to read a book, or at least a comic book, and get some idea of what they want that's outside of what they see. And there are, of course, exceptional people who do that. There are children who grow up in terrible poverty and do wonderful things. But the main thing is you don't want them to be so down and depressed. I don't mind about please make money so we can tax you, but you want people to enjoy the life they have. You only get one.
Exactly, yeah. So we'll see what's around the corner, you know, about that. So it's easier to fix the child than to fix an adult with the child's problems. We've only got this now showing on whatever's going on the TV at the moment, and this book that's out at the moment, dare I mention it, but you know.
Oh, that one, yeah.
So you can see it's easier to fix a child than fix an adult with a child's problems. So
yeah.
And I've got a book coming out as well. So
tell us about it.
I don't know why you just sit around doing nothing all day.
Tell us about the book, Liz.
Well, my book is aimed at children, and it came about when I was about 18, 19, and I was working at a radio station, a local radio station in Manchester, and meeting loads of people, and you know, and I worked in advertising. It was called Traffic, and it was traffic in the commercials, and you listen to these voiceovers all the time, and it does spark your imagination. And so I thought of these characters, and I never did anything with it apart from when my children were little, and Christmas Eve, I needed to do something at Christmas Eve because I never went out, you know, I was like a mum at home. And they used to like get the baths, or new bedding, or new pyjamas, you know, and slippers and everything on Christmas Eve. And I used to read them a story. And this story was about these characters. And I did write a few. So it went on for a few years where I used to write different stories with the same characters, and forgot all about it because the kids got older, couldn't be bothered, you know, and I probably got busier. And then because I deal with a lot of children, I've been reading a few books and everything. I've been looking at them going, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to write a book. So that my book is about this little character who is carrying his worries. And with him carrying his worries, he's getting heavier and heavier and heavier with his worries. And he goes to mum, and mum said, right, I'll help you. So that's the in a nutshell. But I'm going to do something completely different. At the back of the book is going to be advice for parents, 2 little methodologies, what they can use with the kids, and also a nice little script for a bit of relaxation for them.
Yeah, so
that's going to be in the back.
Storytelling, metaphors. Excellent. It's all hypnosis.
So that's so it's gone to my one of my directors who's an illustrator, and she owes me a favour, so it's gone to her to illustrate it. And then once it comes back, which hopefully it might be the end of the month, then I can put it into print.
Oh,
excellent.
When it goes into print, you'll have to come back on again.
Oh yeah.
And tell us about
it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Brilliant. Can you believe that we're out of time?
Yes.
Are we?
Yes,
Yeah.
because we do this every week.
Yeah. That is
It
brilliant.
is Two
Les.
Hypnotherapists Talking a lot, is what it
Yeah,
is.
talking a lot. Yeah.
Well, really, thank you so much. It was
No,
lovely to
thank
see
you.
you again and actually have a conversation, because it's usually like 3 minutes getting to know each other, networking.
And thanks for coming on, Les.
No, thank you.
We're going to put all the details in the show notes. Anybody
Thank
listening
you.
who wants to contact
Thank you.
Les or listen to her other podcast, the details are in the comments below.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having me.
We hope you've enjoyed listening. Please remember, this podcast is designed to give you an insight into therapeutic hypnosis and is for educational purposes only. So remember, consult with your own healthcare professional if you think something you've heard may apply to you or a loved one.
If you found this episode useful, you can apply for free continuing professional development or CME credits using the link provided in the show notes. Feel free to contact either of us through the links in the show notes. Join us again next week.